Okay, so the meeting is now being recorded, and by continuing to be in this meeting, you're all consenting to be recorded. So welcome to the final webinar for your Data 460 course. And really happy to see you all here today. And as I was saying, um, you know, this is going to be the final webinar, and I'm looking forward to seeing many of you in the next course coming up, which is going to be the last course for many of you to get for towards your degree, towards your certification in data science. So it's going to be exciting times ahead. And but anyway, let's not jump the gun. Let's not jump far ahead of us, and stay in the present, and let's finish this off in style. So again, I don't need to go through this slide up here on the meeting etiquettes. It's once again a small crowd, and you know the drill. So I'm going to just skip the slide and go right into what's going to be today's agenda. And today we'll focus on and the IVAs and LLMs that IVAs that what you've focused on during this week, or more than a week now. So we'll talk about the IVAs, the intelligent virtual assistants. And I know at one point I did promise that we'll talk about the LLMs as well, especially when we are going through the first couple of modules on NLP and sentiment analysis. And we did discuss some of that already, but just want to kind of bring up again, would be a nice closure to the webinar. And right after, we'll talk about the assignment 4 that you've been working on this week. This is the final week, and this is the last assignment of the course. So we'll talk about that, and then finally, I'll take in any questions that you may have for this assignment, for this particular module, for the course, or for your future course. Okay. All right. So with that, I'll before I go into IVA, talking about the IVAs and LLMs, I want to kind of do a quick retrospective. And before I get into retrospective, a couple of reminders, folks. One, I'm sure you must have all seen the survey come out, and I want you all to really seriously, take time and provide us a feedback through that survey if you have not already done so. And that's very important for us, folks. As you all know, you've all learned about artificial intelligence and machine learning models and all of that, and you primarily learned that garbage in, garbage out, or unless you provide good feedback to your model is not going to give a good output, right? So your quality feedback, your honest, your candid, your generous feedback is really going to help us ensure that we have the right material for this course. We've really we imparted instructions as per what you expected, and is everything did go as per the expectation that you had from this course. So please take time to provide that input, provide that feedback to us. And we really go through it objectively. Trust me, I've gone through every feedback that I've received. And again, I don't have to know, and I don't get to know who's provided that feedback. And and I said that I really don't want to know as well that who's providing, whether it's Sheldon, whether it's Alex, whether it's Hera. No, that's not what I'm really looking for. I really look to go right into what the kind of feedback that you would have provided. So I remain objective, and UMGC also keeps me honest with that by just providing what I need to know, and nothing beyond. So feel free to provide your feedback and be honest with it, and we'd love to work on that. I mean, that's what we want to kind of keep doing here, is to keep working on improving on our coursework here. Okay. And secondly, and most important thing is about the assignment 4. And I know we get to talk about that, but I don't want to forget mentioning that all your course deliverables are due on the last day of this course. There will not be any exception. So please, it's not just about assignment 4, but anything that would have been pending. And I know not many of you already have that, but in case you have, there are a couple of you who have yet to, finish a couple of your past assignments. Please, it has to be finished. Unless you send a note to me much ahead of time in advance that you'll not be able to finish it for whatever hardship, whatever the reason, and you will be graded as incomplete, and you'll be given a time frame to complete that. But you'll have to let me know, and if not, you could be graded with the no points if there's no submission, right? So very important. And while we are talking about assignment 4, let me also tell you that please start working as soon as you can if you have not started yet. If you're done, some of your classmates are already done with the assignment, and so wonderfully done, very nicely done, and they've really done well. So get started on time, guys. Please do not wait until Monday. Do not wait until Tuesday. It could be too late. And there are multiple reasons. It's not about the assignments. It could be instructions. It could be, something with, we are working with a production level cloud environment, and there could be issues, whatever could be going on. But unfortunately, we cannot be, just we keep everything on hold while you're going through that, or while you're trying to do something at the last minute, right? So it could go against you. And I don't want that to happen to anybody here in this course, because you really worked hard all these weeks. And I do not want this to be any kind of an experience that you would not really like to get into. Okay. So please start early, finish everything by the end of this course day or course week, which is ending on Tuesday. So always remember that. And if there's any questions, you can reach me. And if there are issues with your assignment, please loop me in, create a ticket, loop me into it, and you just let me know what's your ticket number, and I will make sure that I get a loop in AO and TEO as quickly as I can, and I send that note out to them so that they can start working with you. Okay, so please remember that. So with that, those reminders, some retrospective, well done on your assignment 3. Again, I hope you also enjoyed doing, something that is already available in AWS and does a fantastic job with the image classification model, and with the Amazon recognition. So I hope you enjoyed that assignment, and I could see that based on the feedback, the screenshots that I'm seeing. Very well done. Week 7 was yet again one of the most exciting discussion weeks. I saw some of you really went through and remembered the 4 of the discussions. In case you're not seen any of your classmates provide comments to you, you've done it. You provided comments to yourself. You enhanced your your own posting. So very well done on that. I'm glad you're listening. You're again paying attention in the classroom on the announcements, which I just want to make sure that nobody loses points. I would hate to, and I'm not here to penalize you, but I'm here to make you successful and ensure that you get all that great learning experience here. Okay, so. And as I said, you also embrace the spirit of engagement, participation. You are asking questions, you're posting it, and this being your 4th and the last discussion, I think you kept up with the spirit of engagement and participation. So good job there. And remember, this experience is really going to help you with your next course, Data 495, which is going to be coming up pretty soon. As soon as you're done here, next week we start. And as I kind of spill the beans in case you do not know, in case you're having the course on October 18th, then I will be the instructor for that course as well. And so the advantage that you have now that you know my style, you know what I'm really looking for, as whether they're assignments or discussions, you know it all. So that's an advantage for you. And if you really enjoyed this course this semester, our touch points here, the webinars, then I would be, pretty much following the same format. Although our webinars may not be as comprehensive or, maybe more intense. It would be more for, helping you or having a touch point with you if you need any help, right? Because, you kind of gone through and learned so much over the years or the last, few courses, especially that you would probably not need any kind of an additional material or any kind of supplement information. But if you would need help or need to discuss something, I will certainly have those touch points with you. Okay. So yeah, and then this, that's why I can keep saying take advantage of these webinars, especially if I'm the instructor for any of the courses. Then I always plan to have these touch points with you, which is, I consider it was very helpful to me when I was a student, whether it's UMGC or outside. It really helped me to have those touch points. So continue with that, even if you're not taking the 495 course with me, and maybe it would be some other semester with some other instructor. And if they're offering webinars or touch points, please take it on. Okay, please take it up and ensure that you attend them. All right. So with that, I'm going to go over, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is you've seen this picture, right? And if you've watched the module introduction, then you would have seen this picture then where I kind of introduced or talked about Alexa, hey Google, hey Siri. What do you guys think about these technologies? That is, you'd be surprised, but they've been around for more than a decade now. And so just want to open it up for you guys to kind of tell me what are your thoughts? Anything that comes to your mind about these technologies, whether it's the future course of these technologies, what's going on with these technologies, how have you used, or if why haven't you used if you're not used? Any thoughts? Most welcome.
I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind with these are like they're listening to me. Like most of the time, it's like, I just said that. Now I have a commercial that's very pointed to what I just said. So
Yeah.
where is that information coming from?
Yeah, yeah. You remind me of this particular webinar, just couple of months back, and I had the same exact comment, and I believe it was from Chase, if I'm not mistaken, one of the students who probably may be there in the data 495 as well. But yeah, exactly same comment. That you're wary of being listened to. But let me ask you this, Sheldon. We are using these smartphones for the longest time as well. Even if I recall, I think these smartphones started early 2000s. Yes, iPhones came in, later in that decade, the very first decade there. I think in 2007, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I mean, there are other smartphones. But if you think about the smartphones being around for so long, what do you think about them? How different are they from Alexa or Google or Siri?
Well, I mean, they've definitely been integrated with like that type of technology. I mean, you say, "Hey Google," and five things start beeping in your house now. So
So true, so true. But where do you think these technologies are now that we are now, talking about LLMs, and we are getting this world of AIs and GPTs and chat GPTs and so on. Where do you think these technologies are?
I think the key thing is focusing on that assistant part. Like it has to be something that keeps the people in the loop with like all the technology. Like you can't just take the human element out of it. They have to be able to work with like the assistant.
Yeah, all right. No, that's good. Thank you, Sheldon. Anyone else? We can go next.
Um, someone who's worked with kids, there are many like horror stories of like kids like accidentally ordering like thousands of dollars worth of like something from like their Alexa because Alexa just like lets them and doesn't somehow recognize like,
Ow.
oh, that's like a little kid. That's a little kid's voice. Maybe we don't go and buy stuff with their parents' credit card. And
Yeah.
then like the companies
Wow.
like don't take responsibility
Wow,
for it.
that's first for me. I've never heard this before, but that's really scary if it's doing that. Now, I'm not gone that far to test these technologies, but yeah, I mean, no, wow, that's an interesting one, Abby. This is really interesting, especially when you have kids. Yeah, you don't know what they're asking, and many times these kids know so much more. They learn so much in school on how to work with these technologies to give them what they need, or what commands they could give. That's amazing. Interesting point there. Who wants to go next? Where do you think these technologies are going now? Now, as I just mentioned, my question, with this whole GPT era, AI era, do you guys think that these are still keeping up with them? Do you think they're still relevant? Do you think people are still finding use of these technologies? What do you think?
I don't have insight on how the intelligence community is using. I work as an intelligence analyst, but regarding new technologies, the government it's catching up. There was a recent news that the FBI is developing their own ChatGPT. So I think it's just gonna continue evolving, and yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about voice, but maybe it'll help some linguists. I work with linguists too, so probably voice recognition or
Okay. Okay. No,
things
thanks.
like that.
Thanks, Vera. Alex, you have your hand raised.
I think it's interesting. The question, I feel it's going to be more integrated. It's going to be these technologies, these AI, these IVs. It's really simply going to be more integrated with the general framework of society. Like instead of thinking about at the train station or any public transit, it's going to be more smart technology. I mean, it's even here in Asia, like Tokyo or Seoul, this is already being applied. And I think in the United States, it's just going to become more commonplace. Instead of looking for a ticket counter to ask information, it'll be a smart device giving you information where you need to go, how interpreting multiple languages, and maybe even like simulation of an actual character or person to interact with. So instead of a real live person, which in some ways is going to be a major cost savings, instead of having people at thinking like in DC with the metro system, just instead of people monitoring these smart systems will be recognized to help passengers or notify the authorities when people are trying to skip in from or basically be freeloaders. Sorry if that's disrespectful in any way.
No, that's okay. Completely understand. No, I mean it's all right. I mean, yeah, absolutely spot on, guys. This technology is definitely going to evolve. But one thing that, now thinking about it, especially from the time it started, like, as I said, more than a decade back when these technologies came up, and now thinking that these technologies have become so common that, you started by saying that, hey, it's like 10 things would start answering you when in your house when you say, hey Google, right, or hey Siri. And that's how, how much these technologies have been integrated into multiple devices in your homes today. And B is, it's becoming so common, as Alex, you just mentioned. It's becoming a commonplace, common thing now, to kind of, and people are more now accustomed to being more trained. We see, as I said, maybe the school kids are now getting on with these technologies, and maybe they will be, and they're fast learners, right? We all know our childhood. We were the best learners when we were kids in school, and yeah, they're going to just, go on with it. So yeah, I hope these technologies really keep up and keep innovating, that they have been. Because and personally, and that's my personal opinion, guys. I'm not talking about from any research or from any insider information or news, but it's just my personal observation that I haven't seen these technologies really, grow or innovate in the last few years. Yes, when it came out with a bang, and yes, everybody were catching on and everybody were getting onto it. They got different devices in different ways. I get all that, but as now that we are in this era where we are seeing a lot of AI driven things, and we got into the GPT mode, into chat, and we'll talk about chat GPT and GPT in general, or the conversational AI in general. But I'm seeing why that has come out. I I hope that these guys really start working on, taking their technology forward in some way, innovate in some way that is going to take us to a better place, and not just stay as the same product that we've seen it in a last few years. So that's my personal take. But yeah, it has been a little slow, and I hope it picks up. I don't know if any of you really felt that way, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just my personal experience that has not been that great, or I shouldn't say not great experience. It's just that it has not lived up to the expectations that I had when these technologies first came out. Does anyone here feel that way?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I definitely find it more of an annoyance than something that I find useful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, not even being annoyed, right? Like I understand, like 10 things were, shouting out when you're saying, "Hey Google" or "Hey Siri." But my point is, Sheldon, that I thought that in 10 years' time we would have reached at a point where this not just integrated with multiple devices, but it would have started to go on further and further. Maybe I expected a lot, and maybe it's not there, and all of a sudden now GPT driven, devices and all this would be coming out. And when we see all those systems and devices coming out with this kind of AI, are these going to stand the test of time? Are these going to be able to be there and stay there as products that they have been, or they would be taken over by other products that are, all AI driven products that are coming in the market? I don't know. So just a thought here, but we'll see. I think it's exciting times, guys, and it shouldn't be even surprised if some of these technologies that we've got used to is probably going to be, moving away to something else. Yeah, I think I see your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So my thoughts about this is that if you look at the rate everything is going, it's like too much. We really, the speed is high. So it's as if we have gotten to the peak faster than we should. Look at it now. We think if we rely on AI, it will be good. Now we're going back to ground truth. So if AI does something, they will say, don't trust it 100% because we have seen some loopholes.
Yeah.
So I think the rate at which everything went was too high, and that is why we really quickly reached the peak. And it seems we are coming down the slope now,
Yeah.
gradually. If you look at everything, that is what I say about it.
Yeah. No, you're so right. You're so right. And you put it in the, yeah, I think you used the right words there by saying it probably we are at the peak of these technologies, and maybe that's why it's probably not going beyond, or maybe it's going downhill. But who knows? I mean, I'm not going to just downright kind of or say at this point that they would be going away, but maybe they will innovate. I'm sure these guys are working. They've been around for a while. They know the technology. They know this space, and probably they know it long time back. So I'm sure they would be, and I'm really expecting again that they would be coming out with some more innovation that is going to take them and make them climb up the ladder again. But we'll see. I hope maybe a few months in a very similar webinar we could be probably talking something very different. I hope so. I hope that it's not a similar discussion, but a discussion about the climb up again. So, but anyway, so just on the same lines, I like you guys participating in it, and thank you for all your comments here. It was very helpful, and thanks for chiming in. So there's one more aspect that I want to talk about, and before we go into this discussion, I know we mentioned about IVAs and Chat GPTs and all that, so it's coming up now, and I want to talk about Chat AI and Chat GPT or GPT in general, or any of those AI large language model based or text generation based systems that you would have talked about. How many of you here have not heard of ChatGPT or not used ChatGPT? Let me put it this way. How many of you here have never used ChatGPT? Anybody? I expected the silence that that yes, this how common and popular this has become in such a short time. We're talking probably about last November, so it came out, and by the time it started, gaining popularity, it was almost December. So yeah, it's there. It's been like around for more than 9-10 months now, and the amount of popularity, it's an unprecedented growth that it had over the last few months has been amazing. It has amazing journey, and this last 10 months has been very exciting in so many ways. So again, want to open it up to know your thoughts on how your 10 months experience has been, not with Chat GPT, but you may have also tried many other AI driven apps and systems and devices that you so much has come out in the market now that probably you'd lost count if you first put up everything that's AI driven now. And you'll see a chart that I'm going to show towards the end of this conversation or this webinar, that there's so many apps and systems for every different domain areas and for the purpose that it's amazing. It's countless now. It's just going. It's no longer that something that you can say it's in double digits. It's gone into triple and 4 digits now pretty soon. But anyway, let me stop here and know your thoughts again on Chat AI or Chat GPT in general. Sorry, GPT in general. Anyone?
But I went to the Voice and AI conference. One of the things that like people were really speaking about was ChatGPT, but a lot of it was like figuring out prompts. So like there was this whole like big idea about all these prompts that they had to put in, and like you put in the role and all this stuff and give it an example of what you want it to look like and all this like what one of the people finally went out and said was like eventually the goal is to have it so you don't even need prompts anymore. You need like say you had a picture of a lion and it had its mouth closed when it was generated and you wanted it to be open, you just take your fingers at the mouth and open the lion's mouth, and the AI is supposed to know that you want to have the mouth of the lion open.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how they see it progressing as being more of like something that you can do automatically without having to say like, hey, I need you to do this.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yes. I'm seeing a lot of that. And talking of the conference, I recently attended, I think in August, not last month. So it was in August now. So yeah, I attended a cybersecurity conference. Since I'm part of a cybersecurity organization of my, when I'm at my primary job. And so I went to this conference called Black Hat and DEF CON. Has anybody heard about these conferences? Black Hat, DEF CON?
I've heard of conferences like it, but no, not that one
Yeah,
specifically.
so these are very popular cybersecurity conferences, and it's not just held in US, but it's held in world over. And if you ever become part of cybersecurity, you will probably be attending this or want to attend these conferences. That's how popular, that's how renowned they are, and it's attended not just by people working in part of cybersecurity or enthusiast or professional, but they're also attended by very, very senior leaders of companies, like the CISOs, the chief security officers of multiple companies come there. So it's very reputed conference I'm talking about. Anyway, my topic is not cybersecurity, but what I was trying to say that is that when I'm part of cybersecurity conference and there are hundreds of presentations being given out and a lot of hacking related issues and cybersecurity related issues are being discussed, every presentation, and I'm not exaggerating, guys, every presentation is there was AI being mentioned, how interpersonal this cybersecurity and how AI has been now being part of cybersecurity as well. How many of the cybersecurity products are now having an AI component in it. That's how huge AI has become. That it was very difficult to get into any of the presentations where or I couldn't think of any where there was no mention of AI or there was nothing about AI being discussed. It's had to come up in some form or fashion. It had to come up in that. So that's how integrated, interrelated these things of everything is becoming, and including the cybersecurity space, which is another very exciting space, by the way. But anyway, so yeah, just thinking about the conference, I thought I would share that as well. But yeah, GPT has been discussed a lot. Chat GPT is, again, many of you, and so prompt engineering has become a course by itself. People are learning about prompts, and people are, a lot of, and some of the stuff that I saw within a classroom also, guys, and I'm not, and I'm going to be very open and frank, but I could see, a chat GPT somewhere. But anyway, it's not that, something that I want to also mention, that anything that is AI generated could be, and I'm not saying everything that's AI generated could be easily tagged with AI generated versus original, but yeah, pretty close. I mean, there are tools and utilities out there that tell you what this is, what the whether something is AI generated versus human generated. But again, that's not the point here. But um, yeah, so there's been a lot of interest in prompts, how you give your you put up your questions, how you put up your problems, and how you're going to solve them, and get it solved in a way that it comes back with the exact, it comes in the exact format that you would need. So that's how things, and what you just mentioned, Sal, that's amazing, right? That's how far that you can think of now. You just don't want the solution in the format that you want, but how you're going to tweak it. You should be able to interact with your own solution to change what you want to change without doing or putting up these prompts that you don't even need to kind of put up all that and take in a lot of effort to tell the system what you want. But it should know by certain very short commands or with your voice or whatever that could be. So it's amazing. Yeah, this is going, I don't know where this is going to go, but there are things that are also coming up that you're seeing, that you've been hearing. So what have you been hearing or experiencing in the last few months of the Chat GPT era, or that you've been using for many, many months now? Any thoughts on that? What have been your experience?
Probably that it gives like a nice framework for a lot of things, but like the actual details need to be like refined. That's kind of been my general experience with it. It's like, okay, I get the general gist to kind of put a framework of like what the paper should kind of look like, but like the details in the information is usually a little like fuzzy or not quite accurate. So you have to kind of double check that stuff, definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, so one thing I do want to mention, but before I let me not take over. But again, thank you, Sheldon, for chiming in. But anyone else want to share your thoughts on Chat AI, Chat GPT, or GPT?
I use it a lot. I use it a lot because if you don't know by my accent, I am native Spanish speaker, and I have a lot of issues with grammar. So yes, and verb tense, and I use it a lot in order to to fix my grammar, and I through using it a lot, I can now like spot where ChatGPT was used.
Yeah.
Because I use it a lot for emails and to fix my grammar. I use it, I do my research and I answer the questions the way my brain the way I can, and then I just like, hey, just fix this grammar because I do have a lot of issues with like English grammar. So I use it a lot. I like it, but as Selden said, I fight with ChatGPT a lot because it doesn't understand some of my prompts. But I use it. It's helpful for
Yeah.
emails. It's helpful for grammar, at least basic grammar, but I can definitely like spot when someone used ChatGPT. I'm
Yeah.
like, yep, this person used ChatGPT, and I use it, so it's not a bad thing, but I can
Yeah.
definitely spot it right now.
Got it. Yeah. 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 It's becoming as you work with it more and more that you can now start spotting, oh, this appears to be from ChatGPT, or this doesn't. Okay, this is original, or this is Chat. Yeah, you it's easier. But yeah, I think you got a perfect excuse reason there. I shouldn't say excuse, sorry, but reason there to use it, and that's how you really want to use these tools and utilities, right? To overcome some of the challenges that you may be facing, and some of the things that could become easier and faster for you, right? Things that may not matter much, yes, but it is part of your job. Like as we say, if we can, automate in our job, maybe automate, or if you're going to be spending so much time in your communication, maybe there could be some way to make these things faster, and you can devote your time into the core business, right? What you really want to do than spending time on some of these aspects. Yeah, Abby, see your hand raised.
Yeah, so I found that ChatGPT is like really swayable. It will basically like tell you what you want to know. Like for example, like I was like asking it like, do you think this like actor is considered like A list or like B list or C list or D list?
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't tell me, and then I was inputting information to the actor. It's like, I think it's this because of this, and it was like, you're right. And then I was like, I think it's this because of this, and it was like, you're right. And I was like, okay. So this is like, it will just like say like, oh, sorry, I was mistaken. You are correct, even if you're not correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was also trying to do some research today about like gymnastics scores because the women's like gymnastics world championships right now, and it just like didn't have the data and told me
Yeah.
to look in a database that didn't have the data set up the way it needed to be.
Yeah.
So, it's a useful tool, but that's just all it is.
Yes.
It's a tool. It's not a
It's a
person that you
tool.
can trust
You
with
use
it.
the right word there, Abby. It's a tool. It cannot replace us. At least not for now. At least it is not up to a point where it can replace humans. It can replace jobs. Like a lot of people thought, oh my God, our jobs are gone. Maybe there could be some jobs that may be taken over and maybe you can still do the job, but I haven't seen that in 10 months that people have all of a sudden lost jobs. And maybe there could be certain domain areas, like if you are probably a personal assistant who is just spending time in writing emails, maybe there could be an impact there, that people would have found that, hey, I can use Chat GPT or something very similar, more commercial product, or enterprise product that I could use that could be, powered by GPT or large language models, and just build my emails. I don't need an assistant, or pay my assistant for doing this job. So maybe some of those jobs, maybe if you're a content creator, like maybe an instructional designer, that all of a sudden may fill the pinch or fill the challenge of their jobs. But otherwise, I think many of us are still using it more as a tool than really saying, oh my God, my job is, it's threatened now, or I see the threat here, and my job could be taken away, and everything is now going to be, all much AI driven. I don't think we have reached that point. I don't know, maybe a few years time the world could be, but at least I don't see it in a near future or something like that happening, especially since what we are hearing with even these technologies that we are talking about. Many of you probably started to use it and have been using it for months now. Have you experienced or noticed the quality of your output changing? Like Abby, you just mentioned how it was giving you some false information, or did not have the information, or maybe with the quality, Heda, you use it, and you use it to kind of build your emails or communication or whatever that would be. But have you noticed any change in quality from the time you first use it, like months back, to using it now?
Yes, it's worse. I don't know
Yes.
how, but
Yes.
it's worse. Like with the prompts, I was actually like fighting the other day with it for the other class. Um, I think it was some statistics that I was trying to explain,
Yeah.
and it got it wrong. And I was like, no, I'm giving you the I talk with ChatGPT like this. No, I'm giving you the instructions and I'm giving you the definition. I just want you to
Yeah.
to do this. I'm giving you the definition. I know what it is. I know the analysis. I just want you to put it in a cohesive way. And no matter how many times I gave the instructions and the definition, it got it wrong the whole time. So I don't know. I think the quality it's gotten worse.
Yes, yes, yes. So definitely it has it, that's how I've noticed, and that's where I I remember the first time using it and giving just very simple prompts. I didn't the prompt engineering was not even a term that time, I would say, probably something that I knew, or that I have to kind of generate or put up this prompt. So, it was just you making use of it, give some questions, you get answers. That's how easy it was. But based on the question, or a simple question, it would provide you with such a good quality of answer, would be like, wow, it was amazing, no doubt. I mean, that those first 2-3 months, amazed with the output or what you could get out of it so easily, so quickly. And yes, of course, the only thing was maybe it had to be tweaked to make sure that it doesn't appear machine generated, or there is no false information in there. But so that was one thing. But but yeah, over time I've seen that the same type of content or quality, you have to really master the art of providing, like putting up questions. Like your prompt engineering is come into play so much that for the same type of output, you have to give like a paragraph of prompts, like like give all those instructions. I want this many words, I want this way, I want it that way, I wanted this tone and that tone. I said, oh my God, I didn't even know that there was all these different 4 sections of prompts and all that stuff. Didn't have to get into prompt engineering to, get that kind of output. But now today, yeah, I mean, to get a very similar output that I got 10 months back, I would probably, yeah, Hera, you're absolutely spot on. You have to, you'll either struggle, or you have to know how to kind of, enhance your prompts so that you get the similar output. So, and I think it is kind of coming, it's getting a little better, I've heard, with, the newer models. But I fear that because of what we are, providing and providing it as an input, the feedback that we are giving in with our questions, with our input, with the information that we are trying to get in, I think it is accumulating a lot of garbage. It is learning something nonsensical that we are, the way we are using it, it appears that it is not going in the right direction sometimes. And I hope, that we make use of these technologies in a better way, in the nicer way, in the right way, that it doesn't become rogue. I hope not. These are really cool technologies. I hope we use it in the right spirit here. Yeah, Abby, go ahead.
I think the company is purposely lowering the standard so that
Okay.
people so that people buy ChatGPT 4. So
Ah,
they pay $20 or
interesting
$25
point.
a month for ChatGPT 4. I think
Yeah,
it's purposeful.
very interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting point there. You're right. I mean, you're getting so many GPT driven products now that they would lose out the business of these products from these products, because they're GPT powered. That people, if they will lose the business if they don't, if they're going to be providing same service free of cost, then these products would not be there. But yeah, very good point there, Abby. It could be, but I don't know how that, how they're making it happen there. But again, the other thing that I also heard is about the AI hallucination. Has anybody read about it, about this hallucination? I know Hera and many of you kind of also mentioned about, sometimes it gives you garbage. Sometimes it falsifies information, and sometimes it doesn't even have the information. So the one thing, or a couple of things that you would have talked or learned about is, one is the hallucination. And I'll mention what, in case you've not heard about it. And second is, Abby, you also touched upon that it doesn't have the right data or the type of data that you want, right? Maybe you're looking for certain type of information, and it doesn't even exist because the data is up till few weeks back. The data was up to September 2021. That was the time that it had last information, and then it stayed there for a longest time. Now I heard that they've updated it and they made it very recent. I think they've come up to August 2023, or is it July or August sometime? I don't know exact date, but that's what it has come up to. But yeah, so anyone here heard about hallucination or no? Abby, you have your hand raised. So is that something you want to talk about?
Oh no, sorry, I forgot to put
Okay,
down my
that's
hand
okay.
from the other. I
No, that's okay. Anybody for hallucination? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, they're interesting. They're definitely weird, like little. I don't know. It looks like somebody's hallucinating. I like took something and had a trip.
Yeah,
They're weird images.
yeah. It is. It is. So I'll tell you, the hallucination has been mostly impacted the programming world, and it has also led the bad actors to come into play here. And I'll tell you how. So as this Chat GPT is used so much, it has changed how programmers can get code almost written, excuse me, written by, and you get a full code format for any type of function that you're writing, and so on and so forth. So you get the entire Python code, you get entire Java code. Sometimes some of these code, different kind of languages that it knows, it can write the code for you and give it. So programmer, it became programmer's delight, honestly. Everybody's like, oh my God, okay, if I had to spend 15 minutes writing this, a half an hour, 1 hour writing this, I get it right there in few seconds. Yes, it was all good, but what it did was it started to give out certain packages that did not even existed. And people like, whoa, where did this come from? When you run the code, it isn't really cannot be executed because it doesn't have the packages that it has listed within the Python program. Only to find out that there could be these, it's quite likely that these packages would have been, it could be being developed at that point, and somehow the model, when it was being built or being trained, knew about it in some, where, because being written somewhere, being some white papers being written about it, and so on. So it knows there's this package called, and it is this package is going to do this. So it just assumed it, and it just put it up in the code. So again, how does the bad elements, kind of now bad actors kind of getting in? So when it is putting this up, it knows that it is not going to be able to provide link to those packages, because those packages do not even exist anywhere. So they would probably just have a name. The bad actors would then say, oh, okay, if it is just giving me the name here, but it doesn't know the link, so it's being developed, they would quickly develop this so that ChatGPT, or through the plugin, the web plugins, could fetch that and get that exactly where this is. And the bad actors is going to put all the malicious code under the same name, the packages that ChatGPT is kind of suggesting you. So now, along with the suggestion, here comes the link for the package, and you would probably choose the package. You would think, hey, ChatGPT is going to tell me the right thing. It is given me the code. It is the right code here. And as soon as you pick that code, as soon as you pick that package, or you run that malicious code, what happens next, right? So that's how it has, that's where the bad actors are coming into play. It is using this hallucination to their advantage. And that's why I say, I hope we do not feed back to this system, or we do not use the system in such a way that it becomes rogue. It's not useful anymore to us. So again, but this is one aspect that has been really worrying, and I heard that they've done something about it. They've probably the newer versions are fixing this issues, and maybe just they have limited the hallucinations. I haven't really tested it, and I'm not no tester of ChatGPT or anything of that sort, but I've been also just trying to find out like if there's been things, or what OpenAI has been doing about it. So yeah, so that's one aspect here. And about the data, guys, why do you think ChatGPT doesn't know anything about yesterday? It's being so popular, it's being used so heavily. Why do you think its data is limited to just few months, or maybe data is limited to all this time? It was September 2021, but even today it doesn't have that. Why do you think that is happening?
I mean, does the data need to be like sifted through first before it's put into the model? Because that'd be my guess, because you need enough time to actually make sure this
Yes.
information isn't garbage.
Right. I think it is the time, and that's what we are getting into. But I'm looking at the watch here, guys. I realize that we spent, I mean, this was a really great discussion, but we spent a lot of time. Are you guys okay to stay back, maybe until the quarter of the hour, maybe another 20 minutes or so? Would you guys be okay with that? Or do you have a hard stop? Anyone here? So if there's a hard stop, I can go into assignment, talking about assignment right away. I don't want you to be going away without, any questions that you may have in mind. Anybody has a hard stop at the bottom of the hour? Okay, so I'm taking silence as everybody's okay if you can go a little over the 1 hour here. So I'll just take extra 15 minutes, guys. Okay. All right. So what that leads into, and I'm going to skip this model. I was going to do like a walkthrough, but you have the link here, so do not worry. You can. It was a very small program, and what I wanted to take you through is how simple, and building a language model is not rocket science. And what this particular program, and this is a very short program, that and I'd kind of also run this program, and I was going to show you that, but it's a simple language model program that you can easily build. I actually had two walkthroughs today. One was this program that is written by Vishwanatha, and it is so wonderful. It's a very small, short Python code that you can just pick it up, run it on your machine, and see how simple language models are. So I wanted to show that, and then go right into this particular slide to tell you about large language models. Like in the most basic form, what's a language model? It's a model that is designed to produce the next best word iteratively, taking the context as the input, taking the words as the input, and understanding that, hey, what should be my next word, right? Based on the previous words or the previous word, what should be the next word? And that's what the language models does. Sometimes, yes, it has got all this knowledge base. It has read all this, everything on the web. It is Wikipedia or Stack Overflow and all of that, and it has built that wealth of knowledge. But it's not just it's not just based on when you question it, it's going to search for those information. Sometimes it is generating that output for you. It is generating based on how it is producing the next best word in the sentence here. And that's in short what the language models are. And the word large there, and as a large language model, it is just for the size of the parameters of the model. Like if you have the language model with small number of parameters, even to single digit, double digit, now you're talking about millions and billions of parameters that you can provide to this model when you're training it. And that's what makes them huge. It's again, yes, it's reading in billions of tokens and billions of words and lots of knowledge gained from reading through by providing all the information, everything that could be on the web and all of that, and in a digital form that it is fed into this model. That's one. And again, there's hundreds and tons of parameters that has been billions of parameters that we're talking about. That what makes this model really being called as large language models. And although, like, if you look at this particular timeline, like if you quickly go through left to right, you'll notice that yes, we started with language models long time back. We started with the rule-based language models, like giving in certain words that it would give you back. So we all know, right? We've seen these chats, like chatbots, and they've been around for a while. And prior to that, there were like different rule based, like based on what the question you asked, it would know what to answer you. You'll probably put up like a full on like a question and answer format that you would store it, and it would, based on that, these models would give you the response back. So from that, in 1950s, really, as early as that, then in 1990s, we had the statistical language models that were developed and used in speech recognition and machine translation. Then, fast forward to 2010, that's when all these neural language models, right, all these neural networks and deep learning started. And then Google introduced 2017 the transformer models. And yes, how revolutionary everything is last 5-6 years. It has been revolutionary. So the language models, when we're talking about AI, it goes way back to 1940s, 1950s. But then why did it take so much time to kind of get to a point where we are today? It's about a lot of things that evolved over time, right? The computing, the power, the computing power, the cost of this computing power, the type of techniques and that we kind of learned along the way, the model building, that the way the transformer model, how things could be done in a much faster and faster manner, all the different kind of techniques, the deep learning aspect, all that came into play and has the last few years, exciting times, guys, exciting. If I could think of, when I started my career, it was like almost the time when internet and web was all coming up. Internet had just, was out there and it was becoming a buzzword, and web was becoming a thing. That the way you are looking at ChatGPT is how we looked at web and going on to web and crawling on web, and we had like searching things on web, and there were not that many hits or not that many web pages, but still that was all exciting phase for us. And I thought, wow, we are in such an exciting times when we were seeing the birth of, almost the web at that point. We are seeing the birth of, the cell phones and all of that. But now thinking about the times that you guys are going through, wow, it's very envious. I mean, this is the time that you've seen that, it's taking it to the next level, right? What we kind of, or what I've experienced when I started my career to what you guys would be experiencing. Awesome. It just that's taken it to next level. So much, I think there will be a lot of exciting times ahead, because of what you're at this juncture here, where it's just going to skyrocket from here. I could see it just going north. Yes, there would be some things that would reach peak. Maybe you'll see downhill of that, but then I think there are a lot of these things you'll be seeing uphill here. So again, I think right from 2018 for ChatGPT to be our open AI to introduce GPT, then Google introducing T5, and then all this transformer models. And then, of course, GPT has gone through to GPT-4 and to 4.5. So that's all going on. So I think this is the timeline here. As you see, the most of the timeline has been taken off like from 2010s and onwards. So that's how things are so recent, and yet, it has gone and become so popular. So as far as the what's generative AI versus large language models, there's certain subtle similarities and differences, right? Want you to understand that yes, both Gen AI and large language models use deep learning techniques to learn from large amounts of data and generate new content. They also require massive amounts of data to be trained on, but that's when the similarities end. The differences are that large language models are focused mostly on generating text and completing language related tasks, right? And LLMs are also typically based on transformer based architecture such as BERT or GPT, right? Unlike the other Gen AI models. And LLMs can also have billions or even trillions of parameters. And they are also used for NLP based applications, such as chatbots, intelligent virtual assistants, and language translations. So there's a subtle difference there, and then there's a main difference there about what LLMs are meant for generating the text versus generative AI that could be used for music and for video and all of that. So there's so much that it is really being used, and you're seeing it all. You probably are the users of many generative AI models as well, or the applications that are out there. Okay. Since we are talking about the chatbots or the AI related chatbots, I just wanted to go through this list. This is a very small list, and this is like, as I was telling you, there are so many thousands of AI applications here, and the source is there, by the way, so where I am getting this list or putting up this list here. So you can take a look, go to the source to look at some of them, some more chatbots. But you see, these are all the most popular chatbots, and I know there are so many more coming day in and day out that this list, I'm sure, if I'm going to be going over this list in a few semesters from now, it would probably be changed, and maybe many names would have changed by then. But leader, for now, we talked about ChatGPT. We probably did not talk much, but you probably may also know Google Bard, Hugging Chat. You also learned about Hugging Face and Hugging Chat based on that. The Zapier AI, which is not just again a chatbot in itself, but again helps you to build your own chatbot very quickly. It's like plug and play. So anyway, the list is there's as I said, there's not too long, but again, don't want to go through it one at a time. In the interest of time, I'll have to move to the next slide here. But again, just take a look at some of the best AI chatbots that are out there for different purposes. Okay. And what I was just talking to you about is this chart here, where there's so many AI apps depending on the domain. And I know this may not be legible and may not be seen clearly, but whenever I share the slides, you can take a look at. but there are so many apps for each of the domain areas. You talk about video, about marketing, about chatbots, or about writing, about productivity. In each of those domain areas, there are so many different AI applications that are out there. And these are, we're just talking about, just very few. We could not list everything in here. I just found this picture and I thought this is a beautiful one, and it's probably just for now. As I said, again, this may change in few months' time. Who knows? But take a look at it, and probably you may recognize many of the AI apps already here. You could be even using some, right? And before we go to the assignment, a discussion about the assignment, just wanted to share this with you also, the difference between ChatGPT and GPT. And many of, and I smile sometimes when I hear that people use this interchangeably, but they're really different, right? GPT are large language models, and ChatGPT is a chatbot app that is powered by GPT, right? So that's the difference. That just wanted to bring it up because I think we really need to know this. And I'm sure a lot of people who know that you're learning about data science and learning about AI, that they would come to you, and if they say the same thing or ask you about it, I want you to be, I'm sure many of you already know, but if not, keep this in mind. They are not the same, okay? I had another, screen sharing that I wanted to walk you through a code for building your own mini chat GPT. I'd run this, during the last semester, and it was still relevant that time, and it was, easy to build. It took, some time. It probably took an hour or a little more than an hour to kind of build it, but it was able to build. No, it did not take an hour, actually less than that, but it was able to. It took a model from Hugging Face that was built on a lot of text input, and it lets you build your own mini chat GPT right on your computer. If you have, like, it probably just needs 16 gig memory, that it can run, and it can run and finish in a few minutes. So try it out. I mean, this is a and I've given it the link. There's it's an article actually, and the only thing I believe I had to just tweak a little bit of the some of the packages that were not compatible with each other. So I had to play around with that, what I want to install. But once I got the packages right installed, I was able to run the Python code too. And it was a very simple code again. Okay. And then finally, we can make a difference, right? As I said, yes, these are all the different tools, but we want to be careful how we use these tools. What kind of data are we feeding to these tools, right? And how we can use it for, in using it in the right way. And we've talked about all the ethical issues and all of that. So keep all that in mind. That's going to be important. We don't want any of these tools to go rogue and turn it around and turn it back at us, but rather make it helpful for us. So keep that in mind. All right. So food for thought, as I always, I kind of have gone through it after every module. How would you take your learning about IVAs forward? Reading through material, finding out stuff, keep researching on, keep practicing what you learn, remain curious, and keep, as I say, keep reading and researching. That's the best way you can keep working on it. And research for areas to where you can find data that you could use for practicing your skills. Okay. With that, any questions before I move on to talking about the assignments? I'm sorry, they're not assignments, only one assignment, the last one. Anyone, any questions? Okay, so assignment 4, I think I gave you the reminder that I wanted to give you. I'm glad I did that. So, we'll just go right into the assignment. It is preparing you, and this assignment will prepare you to build AWS Lambda functions using Python in support of a chatbot. So you're building a book a trip chatbot, like it's an hotel and car reservation. And you also are going to be putting up and building a calculator service. One thing I do want you to kind of also remember is that I'm asking a screenshot at the end to provide me a screenshot that you tested the bot. Yes, you could just provide one, but I would really want to see that you've tested it out fully, that you have really booked a car, you booked, I'm sorry, you booked a hotel room, you can book the car, you've used the calculator service. So even though there is one screenshot needed, you can append, and many of you have already done that in the past, where sometimes you feel that you could add or provide more screenshots because you've been testing more and you cannot fill it in and get everything in one screenshot. Then provide a couple more screenshots just to show that you tested the bot completely. That's important, guys. There are only 4 parts to this assignment. One is to make sure you get the Lambda functions, you build the chatbot, you build the calculator, the new intent, and everything that you need here. And the 4th is testing it. Once you're testing, that's the 4 pieces here. So spend some time. Otherwise, it's nothing really rocket science here, but remember, you're using AWS services like AWS Lambda. You know about S3 already. You're using Amazon Lex. And so you're using all these cool AWS services to build this. So understand how it's being built. That's the most important thing. Building this assignment, working on it, really. You're going to tell me it's a piece of cake. It really doesn't take a long time for you, and you should be able to really come out with flying colors on this one. Trust me, I've taught this a couple of semesters now, and people have done a fantastic job with this. Okay, but remember that go through the prereqs. There's a 27-minute video on what Amazon Lex is about. And then there is also a tutorial, introduction and demo. If you go through these prerequisites, as I said, even and then you work on your assignment, it would be just you'll just go through it so quickly without any issues. Okay, so go through your prereqs, and you have an instruction, a document that has been provided to you called Assignment 4 Build Chatbot using AWS Lex. You have your code files that is going to help you to build your Lambda functions. And then you have an answer sheet. The answer sheet is the one that you will be returning back. Okay, so very important. There's a template sheet that is provided to you with where you need to provide your screenshots. Okay, and again, there are 4 parts to this assignment, and each of these parts are almost, as I said, it's a similar score. So except for the second one, it's all 38 points. So you really want to ensure that it's all worth it, right? You are going to ensure that you're going through the steps correctly, understand them. And if there are times that you feel that probably there should be 2 screenshots for the same section, provide 2 screenshots for the same section, or 3, doesn't matter. Again, I'm not looking for 30 screenshots of everything that you do, but again, sometimes more is better if you think that, if you're in doubt. Okay. All right. So with that, I think that's all I wanted to go over. And sorry, folks, that we went 15 minutes over, but it was a wonderful conversation. It indeed was. I'm amazed that we spent most of the time on the first couple of slides, but I think it was nice to have your participation and talk through some of the things that are so important and that they are so much part of our daily lives. So again, thank you, but open up for your questions. Anyone, any questions on the assignment, on the course? Are you guys still with me? Did I lose
Yes,
you?
Still with you.
yes. I think probably echoed the rest of the class to say thank you, Lanish. You've been a really fantastic instructor, and it's been a real treat, especially for a lot of us who are just into the data science field. I think it's given us a lot of confidence in knowing now, after learning such a valuable topic, that we have the skills to really engage with it.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much for your kind words. Appreciate it. And but again, you make it all worth it when everybody can participate, chime in, and learn it in the same spirit as you all have been and shown during this semester and course. So you all make it really worth it, and you can make everyone interested in chiming in. So again, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Are you guys all good?
I just have one question. So we're supposed to add extra slides beyond what it sorry, extra screenshots like beyond what it asks for.
Yeah, and the last one,
Okay.
because I saw there were a couple of them, and I really did not, mean to, deduct or penalize points, but I did not see whether, and I did not follow whether all the three sections were really being tested, whether your hotel reservation, your car reservation, your calculator, and maybe that's something I probably need to clarify, so I don't penalize a lot, but I don't want to deduct any points for that. But again, if you see that you probably need to provide more screenshots, maybe a couple of them, please feel free to do so. Help me to understand that you tested all the three pieces. That's all. Hope I answered your question, Abby.
Yeah, thank you. I just didn't do that for the other project. So
Yeah,
anyway.
I know. No, that's okay. And I said I would hate to deduct that, but I am just if I get to if I get any kind of inclination that if I find out if there's any hint of that you've already tested it, then I don't want to deduct any points for that or think that you've not tested it. Just give me some idea that you've tested it. That's all. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, if not, thank you everyone. It was a wonderful class, really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to seeing many of you again in a couple of weeks' time when we all gather again for Data 495. And for the rest who are not going to be part of the next semester for Data 495, good luck to you all. And hope our paths cross again at some point. And again, do well with your final week here in this course. Hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to your feedback as well. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.